What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to our final live stream preview of the year. My name is Zach Hernandez, and I am joined with my co-host Anthony Perry today. Anthony, it's been a one hell of a year, not in the good way, unfortunately. It's not how we expected it to go. Nobody thought this year would be over, or the season would be over come week 17. But here we are. What is your initial impressions of the Seattle game? Do you think that there's any chance 49ers have of winning this game?
Man, jumping right to the gun. I like it. First and foremost, I got to correct you. This season was over week 3 and, or week 2. And, Matt will always be like, oh, well, one player doesn't define the whole season. The season wasn't over when Bosa went down. I'm not going to lie, you guys. When Bosa went down, though, you just felt the vibe of the team change. And then everyone started getting hurt. Of course, it started to collapse. But, against Seattle, I think they are possibly playing for the first seed. I think they have that on the line if Green Bay loses to Chicago. So Seattle will come guns a-blazing, I think. I think Russell Wilson has a lot to prove. He's definitely has not been playing well the past 5 or 6 weeks or so. And he's still been pretty good, but compared to how he started in the first few weeks, Russ was cooking, and now it's like they let him cook and he simmers out, and that's the lamest comparison I can make out of it. But getting right to it, I don't think the Niners have a chance against Seattle, not with a third and possibly fourth string quarterback playing, because Shanahan said we could see all 3 guys on the field, which is CJ Beathard, Josh Rosen, and Josh Johnson. So, if you're going to say we're going to see 3 quarterbacks on the field, I think that's all you need to know about how the game will probably go.
Yeah, and he actually, right after that, Josh Johnson wasn't called up, so it's just the 2. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a half out of each of them. I'm not sure if we'll get that, but I was a guy, and I don't remember actually your take when Josh Rosen came out, but I was super high on Josh Rosen. I thought he was the best quarterback out of that class. I think he's been done extremely dirty by the Cardinals, and then, there wasn't much of a situation for him to flourish with Miami. I think he might still have something left in the tank, and if there's anybody on the 49ers roster who has been burned and has a lot to prove, it's Josh Rosen. If we're not counting Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously. But I think Josh Rosen, I would love to see what he has. I just don't know if we're going to see it tomorrow.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I liked Rosen a lot coming out of college too. He was actually my second favorite quarterback behind Josh Allen. I loved Allen. Zach Allen, I'm a big fan of guys who can throw the ball far, and I knew he had a big problem with accuracy, but that's something that's coachable. The problem was that a lot of people didn't believe in Allen because his accuracy was so bad, and when you see that, it's like, oh, well, that's something you shouldn't take a chance on. And then obviously Allen blows up, and then Baker's okay, Darnold's okay, and then Rosen's kind of just got the shortest straw of everyone, and he's just been unfairly treated in the NFL. And that's the thing, is that coming out of UCLA, I thought Rosen had really good arm talent. I thought his ball placement was good. He didn't have a strong arm, but he could still zip it downfield. And he knew how to read. He knew how to progress and do all that. And it's just all the coaching changes amongst him just really hurt him. And then on top of that, you hear some people say, well, he can be kind of pretentious and he can be kind of, to put it bluntly, pretty douchey. And he looks like that kind of guy. Like, you look at him and you go, oh, man, he looks kind of mean, right? But, yeah, I'm right with you, dude. I'd honestly rather see Rosen start than Beathard, and I'd rather see Rosen play a whole game just because I want to see what he's got, dude. Rosen's young. Matt said it last week. He has no mileage on him. And it's like, get this guy out here. I want to see this guy play and see what he's got. What else does the team have to lose?
Yeah, that's a good point. At this point, just do it. I feel like they won't, unfortunately. Kyle seems to be pretty conservative when it comes to, if Jimmy's not in there, if you feel like it's not his best lineup, he's just going to basically do whatever he can to get the game over and done with.
Yeah, he said it last week, right? It was like one more game and then he's on vacation. I think he went on vacation pretty fast.
It was basically like, then I won't have to take any of these questions anymore. He took that question about Jimmy Garoppolo, and he seemed to be rather irritated. I don't know if that was just me that read into that. Rich Madrid tweeted out kind of that, his thoughts on it. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And I thought he hit it right on the nose that, and I think the part that I thought was the funniest is that he said, these parts don't really get, tweeted out by the beat writers for whatever reason. Right. And he basically said, it's either the coaches or the players when it's not going well. Shanahan doesn't strike me as the type of guy who would throw his coaches or blame his coaches. I think he thinks they're doing a pretty competent job. However, we've seen him previously throw his quarterbacks, not I don't want to say under the bus, but publicly criticize them.
Right.
So I don't know. All signs kind of point to maybe Jimmy isn't coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Kyle, I've honestly never heard Kyle really talk about the coaches outside of Robert Saleh. Maybe Ryan Day, the quarterback coach, or Shane Day. I think Shane Day. And that's the thing too, is a lot of people were saying with Day, oh, get him out. The team needs a new quarterback coach. Well, the thing is that Day works with Shanahan personally with the QB collective. I know we've been seeing that talked about a lot lately because of the connection between Justin Fields and the quarterback collective, where Shanahan has worked hands-on with Justin Fields. So I don't think the Niners are really going to have any other sweeping coaching changes outside of Saleh, maybe Mike McDaniel, maybe even DeMeco Ryans. Who knows? It depends on if Saleh even leaves to begin with. But it's a lot to fathom, dude. But when you hear Shanahan talking like to the press with all the Garoppolo questions and with everything going on, it's like I've never even seen that demeanor from him. Not throughout his entire time with the team. I've never seen him just look so annoyed. And I mean, Matt, I'll refer to Matt a lot because he's smart. But when you see Shanahan talk a lot, Shanahan comes off as a guy who's no BS. I mean, a lot of the roster moves you could blame, you could put that on, okay, maybe they were kind of bluffing, like the Forrest Buckner, for example, like Garoppolo coming back and Dee Ford's health. Like, no front office is going to be exactly straightforward about the moves they make. But when it comes to players, personnel, and even coaching to an extent, I think Shanahan is relatively honest about that. So when you see him talking and kind of almost coming off as really annoyed, he's really annoyed, and he honestly can't wait to get this game over with.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like he, for the most part, is just sick of the season. He was saying, in that same press conference that he's happy that 2020 is over with, and not just for football reasons, but just he's like, the world in general is better to move on from 2020. We all know what type of year it's been. But I just feel like he's over it in the sense that, look, we came out, we tried. I feel like he feels that things completely out of his control went against him, which is 100% right. I mean, he had no control over COVID, over the injuries, over Santa Clara County telling them they can't even play or practice here.
Right.
All of these outside forces just completely hurt the team, and that's something that I would want to just be over or done with and start onto a new fresh year. I'm sure he's hoping by the time next season starts, they're back to normal. So yeah, I really hope so.
That's so demoralizing, too, on that subject real quick. I mean, it's like when the city of Santa Clara is working with the team diligently to try and get things done, and then just to have the rug swept from under them and going, oh, yeah, no games, no practice, no meetings whatsoever. It's like, okay, they were trying to work on this for months on end, it sounds like. And then for them to just go out and say, nope, that's just – in a lost season already, just for that to happen to the team to begin with, I mean, that's already really bad as it is. And yeah, I think Shanahan's just he's done with everything. And I mean, at the end of the day, like I know and we all know it, these guys are human. You know what I mean? They have families, they have kids, they have brothers and sisters and parents and family members and friends. And it's like they are away from them for 9 to 10 months on end because of football. And I mean, they can't, I'm sure, just like Shanahan, everyone else can't get done soon enough.
Yep. So let's get into some of these comments here. Let's see. Aiden Reynolds, I think he was talking about Josh Allen. Accuracy is not something that's coachable. He is literally the one exception. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, ball placement, reading the field, understanding how routes are going to be ran and where to go with the ball, I think has a lot to do with accuracy. And look, I don't think you can necessarily teach a guy – if you throw it in this one spot 100 times, that means that his accuracy will improve. It's just a matter of timing and understanding the play itself. And I think that's how quarterbacks improve their own accuracy. And you look at Josh Allen too. It's like Josh Allen's turnover-worthy throws are down considerably. He's also making a lot of high percentage throws. But when he has to throw it into a tight window, he will zip it right in there. And I mean, his arm strength does save him. I think he's one of the only few quarterbacks who can really fit the ball into a tight window, and he's saved by it because of his arm strength. So I think a lot of that has to do with saving his accuracy as well. But man, I would say he's the one exception. But I think we've seen at times where quarterbacks have steadily improved their accuracy throughout the years. It's not like Allen, man. It's not going to happen in 1 year. It's going to take a few years. It's just Allen went from like 56% to 60% to 69% in 3 seasons, which is that's unreal. That's unreal to me.
His completion percentage is ridiculous year by year. That's something you really don't see, and I don't feel like he's getting enough praise and enough recognition. I think he should definitely be in the consideration for MVP this year.
Right.
The year he's put on, what he's done for Buffalo, they would be nothing. I mean, they'd be a solid team, but they would not be a legitimate contender without him. So Josh Allen is the real deal.
Do you have Allen over Mahomes in the MVP race?
You know, that's a good question because Mahomes has had a questionable year.
Right.
I mean, I forget who tweeted it out, but somebody tweeted out like his should have been interception throws.
A lot of them.
It was like 30 or something like that. I don't have the number, but it was a crazy amount.
Yeah.
So they might be neck and neck. Honestly, Josh Allen does so much for Buffalo.
Yeah.
Maybe Mahomes gets just the slight advantage just because he's Mahomes, and I've seen firsthand what he can do, unfortunately. But Josh Allen, the game that he played against the 49ers a few weeks ago in prime time was as good as any game I've seen. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's a good question, though. Let's see. More comments here. Happy New Year. Thanks for David Yang. What about a fifth for Minshew? Minshew has a great deep ball, 34-10 TD to INT ratio. I mean, we do have 3 fifth-round picks, don't we?
Dude, I wouldn't turn down Minshew. I would love Minshew Mania in the Niners, but I think he's the type of guy you go after if you think that he could possibly be a starter. And I think that it would take more than a 5th-round pick. And the reason why I say that is because everyone knows the Jags are likely going to get Trevor Lawrence. And if that's the case, then I think having Minshew means you have one of the best backup quarterbacks in football. And we've seen that happen with a lot of teams the past year or so, is that if you don't have a good backup, you're basically screwed. And you look at the Niners where it's like, I still believe that Mullins isn't a bad backup, but he's not good for the longest stretch of games that he's had to play, which has really exposed him. Shanahan even said that himself. It's like the longer backup plays, the more he's going to get exposed. Well, it's like if he plays for a spot starter or two, like he did, I think, against the New York Giants, right? He lit up the New York Giants. And then the next game against the Eagles is when it started to go down and didn't really see Mullins pick it up. So having a good backup is really key. I would love Minshew. I'm sure I want to hear what you have to say about that real quick too, Zach, but it's just, I don't think it's in this world.
I'd pass on that. I just feel like he's more of a gimmick guy, project guy. I'm tired of the bargain quarterbacks for the 49ers. No disrespect to Jimmy Garoppolo, but Matt and I have talked about this as well, and I think you've been on some of the shows where we both said we want to finally spend some premium capital at the position. We haven't done it for so long. I want to do it. I want to be a team that has a quarterback that is keeping defenses up at night and a quarterback that can fit the ball into the tight windows, and you're winning because of and not in spite of. Minshew doesn't really scream at me that he's that guy. He had a nice fire going on in Jacksonville for a bit last season. But, I mean, in reality, didn't he lose his job to Nick Foles? Or who am I thinking of here? He
lost his job to Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon, yeah. There's a reason for that. Let's see. More comments. New Year's resolutions / goals for this channel. Off the top of my head, 2,000 subscribers. That's been the one ever since we reached 1,000. As soon as we reach 2,000, guys, we're giving away our 7th 49ers jersey since we've started. We've only had this channel for about 8 months, so we've given away roughly a jersey a month. Get us to 2,000. If you guys are watching, you're not subscribed on YouTube, subscribe. It takes a minute to make an account if you don't have one. Support us. We love doing this. And also, I'd say a resolution for us is to try and get into a more consistent stream schedule. We try very hard to get our live stream previews out Saturday, recaps out Sunday, obviously depending on the games. And then we try to get Niners news Monday through Friday, but it's difficult. Anthony knows. He could be the first one to tell you my work hours are ridiculous. So it's not really consistent.
Yeah. But getting stuff out to begin with is obviously a big plus, man. And we have a lot of fun every time when we do it. I mean, last week, Hung Fad and Semper Fi were balling out for us as it was. So it's like, shout out to Hung Fi. But I think my goal for the channel is to get Matt to admit he was wrong about something live on stream. If I can get Matt admits about something is wrong live on stream, I will reckon that day and be very happy about it. But nah, I'm with you, man. It's like the channel is still in its infant phases, honestly, and it takes time to grow. But interacting with people like David and Hung Fat and everyone in the comments is like not even just about helping grow the channel, but it's just all about having fun. And it's like I want people to see that it's not such an uptight stream. It's that it's really relaxing. It's super laid back. Something you can kick back and just vibe with and comment on and just listen. And it's like, other than Matt, and I love Matt, we're not gonna blast you guys all the time. So it's like, it's just like it's a really cool, calm environment, and we love interacting with everyone and helping grow a channel that really just gets to interact with the people. I think is really important to all of us here.
Yeah, really well said. Really well said. More comments. CC 49ers. If we were to get a QB, the best chance of getting one is Zach Wilson out of BYU. I don't know if I would say the best chance. That's probably the best case scenario, in my opinion, outside of obviously like Trevor Lawrence having some ridiculous drop, which isn't going to happen. I'd say the best chance is likely a guy like Trey Lance falling, but I wouldn't even say falling because he's probably going to go anywhere from 5 to 10. But Zach Wilson, I think they need to trade up to get. What do you think, Anthony? Maybe I'm out of here.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Wilson, Fields, both those guys are just the ones they're going to have to trade up for. And I'm not going to buy into the whole narrative that because Kyle Shanahan has worked with Justin Fields personally means that Fields would be his guy. I mean, the Niners, as far as we know, have been sending scouts to BYU games all season long to watch Zach Wilson. And that's not to knock anyone who believes in the Fields and Shanahan connection. It's just that you see that the team is sending out personnel to watch Zach Wilson, and we haven't heard that about Justin Fields as far as we know at all. So that should tell you that at least on paper and in person, the Niners have some type of inkling about Zach Wilson. And then Shanahan does have personal connections with Justin Fields, so Shanahan has his own formulated opinions. But it's a matter of, will John Lynch want to trade up? It's going to be expensive, Zach. I think we all know it's going to be really expensive no matter who they want to trade up for. And it's a matter of if they think it's Wilson, is the value good enough? Or if they think it's Fields, is the value good enough? It all depends, really. But I don't think that they have the best shot at getting Wilson to begin with. Whether it's Wilson or Fields, it's going to be very expensive. I personally like Trey Lance. I love the film from last year, man. I think Trey Lance would be just a mind-blowing fit in this offense even after missing 1 year. But that's another one where it's like I don't know if they fully believe in Lance just because he hasn't played. And at that, I think that alone is just as risky as trading up for a quarterback who's an unknown. And this is the thing, I'm kind of going on a rant, I'm sorry. But you have a lot of people who are saying like, oh, well, look at Jared Goff, look at Carson Wentz, and even look at Sam Bradford when he got traded up for. All these guys, all these quarterbacks that have been traded up for don't exactly have a good history. But, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with recency bias too, because Goff hasn't been good this year. But when Goff was flourishing, he took him to the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate before he got hurt. He helped take the Eagles to the Super Bowl. And Sam Bradford might not have been the guy everyone wanted, but I think Bradford took the Vikings to the playoffs once or twice. And yeah, maybe that's not ideal, but Bradford was still good enough. It's just a matter of, do you believe in the guy you're trading up for? And recency bias has a lot to do with that. But I'm not complaining if they trade up capital for either one of these guys, Zach, because I'm like you. I want the big pick. I want the big sexy pick where these guys go, whoa, like league altering, mind blowing, like holy crap, Zach Wilson or Justin Fields in the Kyle Shanahan offense with Debo, with Ayuk, with Kittle, with Jeff Wilson, the Mostert, like, whoa, like that kind of thing,
Yeah, and not only that, but I've seen people say that they're way too conservative with how they use their draft picks. They would never move back up. History does not show that. Their first draft ever, they traded back into the first round to get Reuben Foster. They recently traded back in to get Brandon Ayuk in the first round. Or they didn't trade in. They didn't trade into that. That was their pick from. Exactly, yeah. So they've made moves to get guys that they like that they're surprised are still there. So I don't think that that's true at all. I think that they would pull the trigger on a big trade if they feel it's worth it, if they feel it's their guy. There's a lot of guys in this draft that could potentially be the guy. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Right.
Some other comments here. Buckner, they had every intent to keep Buckner. They offered him a contract extension, and he declined it. There's almost no way that I could have seen them keeping Buckner with the money he got, only second to Aaron Donald, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's just not feasible for the 49ers. They would have had to have not had a lot of other people there, which at the time might have been the right decision. Looking back, obviously, with 2020 hindsight, 2020, it wasn't the right decision, but that's how the cards fell.
Yeah, it's like, you keep Buckner, lose Armstead, and everything still happens this season. Buckner wouldn't have been the difference, I know Armstead has been really, really bad. Well, not really bad, but he struggled. He struggled a lot. And you put Buckner in that same situation where Buckner loses Bosa and loses Ford and has the same supporting cast. I don't know if it makes much of a difference. I do think Buckner is a better overall defensive lineman than Eric Armstead, but it's not like he would single-handedly change some games. Not like Aaron Donald, not like a Jalen Ramsey or even Fred Warner, in my opinion. It's no disrespect to Defoe, but just with the entire situation of the team, it doesn't feel like the impact would have necessarily been felt.
Yep. Great point. Let's see. Jeff Wilson having another beast game. I think I saw that if he has 100 yards rushing, he'll be the first 49ers to have 3 straight 100-yard rushing games since Frank Gore. So he could definitely do it. Seattle's defense, they've tightened up a bit in the back end of the season, but I do think it's possible that he goes off again. But like half of the 49ers offense is going to be out. So who knows?
Yeah, it's Seattle's defense has been very, they've turned it over quite a bit, and they've been playing a lot better as of late. But division games are weird. Division games always go weird. For all we know, this game could be 10-7 or 31-28. It could be anything, honestly. But yes, I'm with Hung. You know me. I know you. I want Jeff Wilson to have a good game, and I got him. That's my guy. 40 carries.
40 carries. All right. Let's see. With all the injuries, that's impressive. We were still in the playoff hunt till a few weeks ago. That's a good point. Almost no other team would be still in consideration other than this team. And it's all a credit to coaching. It really is. The coaches, Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, all these guys had these players, these no-name players, basically, backups, third strings, in a position to where they could go out and do their job, not have to worry about all the outside noise, not have to worry about doing, your job and some. They were doing a good job at coaching them up, and they were largely in position. I mean, obviously, we know how that worked out, but it's still a testament to the coaching staff that they were even still in consideration till week like 14 of the season. Like, that's pretty good for this team.
Yeah. And, I'm just going to shut it down real quick. A lot of people have been very critical of Kyle Shanahan, maybe not as of recently, but last week and the week before, it seems like everyone was blasting Kyle Shanahan for, not being able to maintain offensive play. And it's like people don't understand just how bad Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard are, It's like, again, I thought Mullins was good for a game or two, not for 8 games, but he's been terrible. Beathard, there's a reason why he's not playing also. And it's like you watch a game film, if you guys go on NFL Game Pass and you just rewatch the All 22, it's like there are so many plays that are missed or are wide open because a quarterback like Mullins either can't throw it downfield or doesn't see it, or Beathard in his few plays just don't recognize also. And it's like, new quarterback. Just give me a new quarterback.
Cully. Buckner wanted near Donald money. We weren't paying him that rich of a contract. Colts did, hence the Buckner deal. Exactly. It was all about the money. That trade did hurt. I'm not going to lie. Buckner was the embodiment of what they wanted in a 49ers player: culture, personality, production on the field. He did everything right, but it was just a story of the numbers. They couldn't get them to work. They couldn't come to an agreement on both sides. He's balling out in Indy, though, that's for sure. And I know that they love having him. They got Quentin Nelson on one side of the ball and DeForest Buckner on the other. That's a hell of a duo on offense and defense, man. They're happy. I can guarantee you that.
I would love to see those guys go one-on-one in practice. Like two rhinos just butting heads, you know what I mean? Those guys are monsters.
Yep. All right, let's see. Zach's always looking spiffy. I had to do it up. Last stream of the year. I should say preview. We're still going to be doing some streams. So last preview stream of the year. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. What's up, Tony? Thanks for tuning in. get ready for a very busy off season. That's right. There's going to be a lot going on. We're going to cover it all here. Everything that happens, trades, signings, the draft. Make sure you guys are checking it out and checking out 49ersHive.com. And Anthony and I also have a podcast, Red Gold Standard Podcast. So make sure you guys, we're on all avenues, guys. So make sure you keep up with us. You can answer this one, Anthony. Thoughts on Ohio State's Justin Fields?
If anyone helped their single game stock more than Justin Fields, it was Justin Fields. Like, I swear, at the Northwestern game when Fields went for like 180 yards and 2 picks, everyone was like, he's not even a top 10 quarterback. And I think they deliberately meant that too. It's like Fields will barely crack the top 10. Like, he just lost, or he didn't lose, but he blew it in a really big game. And it's like, okay, well, does he have it? Blah, blah, blah. This dude went toe-to-toe and just outplayed Trevor Lawrence all night long against Clemson. And it's like, you can factor in anything as to what went wrong for Clemson, but that's no excuse to me, man. College football is college football for a reason. That should be the type of game where quarterbacks just excel. And Lawrence didn't have that bad of a game, but Jesus, Justin Fields was like incredible, Zach. He was insane. I mean, I tweeted out personally. I was like, Justin Fields, go get this guy. I mean, Zach Wilson would be nice too, but man, I got to hop on the recency bias train, man. Fields was insane, 6 touchdowns. And it's like, I love the offensive weapons he has too. And Ohio had a really good run game also, but Ohio's wide receivers, I think, don't necessarily compare to Clemson or much less any other program. That's not to knock them. It's just Fields was just hitting throws that outside of Lawrence and Zach Wilson, I don't know any other quarterback could. Garoppolo couldn't. I don't want to turn this into the Garoppolo slander episode right now, but Fields was hitting every single throw that no quarterback that the Niners have had in a really long time could hit with consistency. Yep. That's the thing, too, is that Fields was doing it consistently all night long. It's like every drive had like 140-yard plus pass, and it's like, go get that man. Let's stop wasting Debo, stop wasting Ayuk. I'm sorry to the quarterbacks, but it's like, no, they got to go get someone who will throw it. Just air that thing out. Give me Fields.
Yeah, Fields was spectacular last night. He outdueled Trevor Lawrence, which I know it's not them two going against each other, but just looking at their bodies of work last night, he had the better performance, and he wasn't going up against a bunch of scrubs either. So Justin Fields balled out. He definitely helped his case. You saw even people like Adam Schefter tweeting out edits of him in a Jags jersey, like they're going to take him number one. Obviously, there's no truth to that. I'm sure he's entertaining it, whatever, maybe just to get the likes and retweets. But I don't think that pushes him over Trevor Lawrence. I think as a whole body of work, Trevor Lawrence is still the better quarterback. Overall, he's better. But Justin Fields, man, he may be, I don't remember if it was Croc, but somebody tweeted out, he may be the most talented quarterback of this entire draft class when you come down to speed, arm strength, agility. Put all of these categories like you're making your own Madden player. Justin Fields is as close to like a 99 as there is in this draft class.
Yeah, that was Croc, man. He said that. I think he's right too. I think where it's like Justin Fields' ceiling is like, shoot. I mean, it's a hefty comparison, but if you look at how they play, it's like Justin Fields' ceiling could be like Steve Young-esque. And I'm not saying that he can be or like he is Steve Young, but you watch how he throws on the run. You watch how he makes plays with his feet. You watch how he just throws the ball to all 3 levels. Steve Young played like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, if the Niners can get that kind of quarterback, oh my God. And I agree with Croc. And you look at Trevor Lawrence, where it's like a lot of people have comped Lawrence to Andrew Luck, and that's a really good comp. I think it's that Lawrence will hit that ceiling the fastest. But, I mean, it's like if you would rather have Andrew Luck or Steve Young, kind of leaning towards the Steve Young guy, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's lofty. I think that's very lofty of a comparison or ceiling, to say the least. But you watch how Fields plays, you get those Steve Young-esque vibes, man. And it's like, this kid can do it all. He can do it all. And the Niners have lacked a true quarterback since Steve Young. And that's not to disrespect Kaepernick. That's not to disrespect Alex Smith. I love both of those guys. Don't get me wrong. It's just having them on the team for 10 to 15 years, not 4 or 5. And I know Alex Smith was on the team for a while, but like consistently good, like a consistent solid stretch of football for 9 to 10 seasons like we got from Young. And Alex Smith was, not so good until Jim Harbaugh came along. And then Kaepernick was good for his couple years with Roman until that ended. And it's like, it's time for a quarterback. It's time for continuity, man. And if we think Justin Fields can be Steve Young, I'm trading like 2 or 3 first-round picks It has to be. You have to do that.
Yeah. I forget. I don't know who tweeted it out. I think it was one of the 49ers SI guys. A picture of all of the NFC West quarterbacks. And obviously, every other team had a bunch, and then Seattle's there with one. And that's the reason why they've kind of been the class of the division the last decade. So the 49ers need to do whatever they can to make sure that they have one quarterback for the next 10 years. And I think one of these guys, whether it's Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, has the potential to be that. So, like I said earlier, like we've both said, spend the premium capital, enough of the getting these bargain bin QBs. No disrespect to any of these guys, but it was nobody's first choice. You can't sit in here and tell me Kyle Shanahan got to San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo in mind. That's not how it worked out. He kind of basically just fell into his lap, and they, gave him the, top 10 starter money, the most money at the time at the position because his contract was due. But I feel like they definitely need to get a rookie in there who has higher potential, a higher ceiling, and that could really take the top off the offense. It could really raise the level of the entire team. So I'm excited to see it. But let's get into some more comments. Happy New Year's. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we have a Twitch account. We just got it going. Make sure you guys are following us there. Go to Twitch, search 49ers Hive. I think that's how it works. We're still kind of getting used to it. So check us out on Twitch. What a game for Fields, bombs away. Yeah, those deep balls were ridiculous. There was only one that he missed on, and it was like a couple of yards ahead of the receiver. But every other, deep pass from that was so on target. And Anthony, some of the windows he was fitting it into, it was just mind-boggling. I mean, we talked about his performance, but these deep throws, have you seen a quarterback that accurate in a while? Or
not in college? I mean, Justin Fields, if Trevor Lawrence wasn't here, either him or Zach Wilson would be the first overall pick. And that's saying a lot, And other than Lawrence, as a recent, I don't think there's any quarterback prospect that was just as complete as Fields. And every quarterback has their knock, don't get me wrong. And it's like Fields has a tendency to hold the ball too long. That's coachable. Zach Wilson's knock is injury history. That may not be coachable, but with the professional medical staff, you can do everything to prevent those kind of injuries. Excluding this season. This season was a little different, so I'll take that portion with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of stuff that's coachable, and I don't recall a quarterback having this good of ball placement to all three levels of the field. And again, I love Ohio State, or at the least I love their weapons, but Justin Fields isn't exactly thrown to Devontae Smith. He's not thrown to Jamar Chase. He's not thrown to any of those guys. He's still throwing to respectable receivers, but dude, Justin Fields is hitting guys. He is opening up plays for these guys. He throws them open with ball placement almost every single time. And it's I will respect Trevor Lawrence because he has fantastic ball placement also, but his weapons don't compare to Ohio State. Clemson has a huge advantage. I mean, look at what Justin Fields is working with. He's got a beautiful run game with Trey Sermon, the lead running back. But when Justin Fields has to get the job done with any of his weapons, he does it. He absolutely does it. And Zach Wilson's the same too. He's getting it done with guys who probably won't even get drafted in the third or fourth round. That's a lot, dude. That's absolutely a lot. And Justin Fields he's complete. I think he's the complete prospect, the complete package. Whatever problems he has, coach him up. Who better to do that than Kyle Shanahan anyways?
Yeah, no, definitely. And also the fact that he would come into a nice situation. I mean, the draft is all about, it's equally about where you're going, what their surrounding cast is, and the coaching staff. The 49ers have both pieces of that equation. So they could come into, a rookie quarterback would come into Kyle Shanahan, arguably the best offensive-minded head coach in the NFL. And then the surrounding cast, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Raheem Mostert. There are a lot of pieces on this offense that a rookie quarterback would do really well with, and not a lot would be asked of him. They wouldn't be asked to shoulder the load, throw it 30, 40 times per game because Kyle Shanahan has a running game, because they have guys like Deebo and Ayuk who could help them out with some gadget plays. So one of these quarterbacks is going to come in here, I have a feeling, and just completely light it up. I mean, I really do hope so. Appreciate the love. You guys deserve 10K subs. You'll get there soon. Just stick with it. I mean, heck, okay, we don't have to read that second part, but thank you for the compliment. We appreciate it. We keep things positive here. Thank you.
I want to, just for a second, I love the takes Grant Cohn puts out, even if you disagree with them. And the only reason why I say that is because he backs it up. He will admit it, he will back it up, and he has a lot of very good and clear reasoning behind his takes. You may not agree with him, like a lot of us don't, but his support for his takes, I think, are kind of what establishes that type of credibility. Even if you don't, the Zach Wilson thing, I didn't like that where he said Zach Wilson had character concerns off of Walter football. That was bad. But like his takes, though, he supports them. I will give him props for that. Even if you don't like him, at the least, he supports them professionally.
Yep. No, that's
but
a good point.
We know.
Grant Cohn was actually our first interview. Let me take that back. It was either Grant Cohn or Al Sacco. I don't remember which order it was, but it was within a couple of days on this channel. And I respect Grant Cohn for speaking whatever he thinks, whether it's something ridiculous, something smart, something, whatever the case, he will say it. And just like Anthony said, he is willing to have a discussion as to why he feels that way and why he thinks that way, why he may think you're wrong. And I have seen him previously come out and take ownership of wrong takes. So I know he gets a lot of crap, and most of it's rightfully so, but he does do some things right and respectfully. So credit to Grant Cohn where credit is due, but we can leave that there. 49ers went to Ohio State game this year, so they were watching Justin Fields potentially. Trey Sermon would be a great running back for us if he was selected by us. Sermon balled out, man.
I mean, what Ohio State running back doesn't, And someone in the chat here said Fields has a top offensive line protecting him. That's the case, but that also applies to the running backs as well. And you look at the running backs that have come out of Georgia, Ohio State out of recent memory. I think Zeke was an Ohio State dude. Chubb, I think, was Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm brain farting totally. But you look at the running backs that come out of Ohio State, and it's like these guys ball out. They just ball out entirely, regardless of offensive line. And man, as I will tell you, dude, as much as I don't want the Niners to take a running back early because they have never done that, Trey Sermon, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris. Oh my, one of those guys in this offense would just. I don't want to get my hopes up because I know it won't happen, but man, these running backs in this class are just built different entirely. I think two of them will probably go in the first round. Najee might go at the back end of round one, the same possibly Sermon or Etienne too. That's just how damn good these guys are.
Yep. As long as nobody says to take an edge, I'll be fine. Please do not address the defensive line in the first round for like the 12th straight year. My brain's going to explode. Collie Young, Armstead is playing out of position, to be fair. That's true. But he had his best year under contract year with Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, make of that what you will, and D Ford at times surrounding him. Outside of that year, he's never really, been the guy. He's never really been disruptive. He's never really lived up to his draft status previous to last year. So and there's some pluses and minuses there, but I just don't think that he's worth $85 million. We've talked about him before. He's basically an $85 million run stuffer. Not that great.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his success was primed off of having Bosa, Buckner, and everyone else too. And it's like, it's just the effect of having a good team. Just like Mike McGlinchey, Matt will say that best. It's like Mike McGlinchey probably got overdrafted because he looked really good playing next to Quentin Nelson in Notre Dame. And, we all know about that with Mike McGlinchey, where he's a good run blocker, bad pass blocker. But a lot of that college film looked good because having Quentin Nelson next to you is, he's going to be one of the top 5 guards in the NFL history, I think, Quentin Nelson. And having playing next to that will boost your stock immensely. Just like Armstead.
Yep. You could take this one. What do you make of CJ's performance last week?
Dude, that was good. But, 185 some yards, but he was a game manager, he did everything that Shanahan asked of him to do. That's what happens when you have a good run game. That's what happens when Jeff Wilson just lights it up entirely. I should have got a jersey on the spot from him. Not yet, but it will eventually. But, it's like you have a good run game. It's just like Garoppolo last season. When the run game was working, Garoppolo's day was very easy, and he was able to hit wide open throws. We saw that from Beathard in 13 or 14 completions, is that he didn't really make any tight window throws. He was hitting guys open open, that were schemed open. And when the run game is going, your job is a lot easier. And that's what Shanahan asked of him to do, and he did it. And he finished with, 3 passing touchdowns, only 1 turnover, which kind of was at the end when it didn't matter. So I love CJ's performance. I think it was very admirable, especially coming off the 1-year anniversary of his brother's tragic death. So, he was playing for him. He was playing for his entire family. And just to see that, I mean, screw draft position, screw them winning. That doesn't matter. It's the fact that CJ Beathard went out there and won. He won it with a lot of personal things on the line for him, and that is just big on its own. You take away football, you take away everything, and realize that these guys are humans, like I said earlier, that they have feelings and families, and tragedy happens. And when you can go out there and win, I mean, nothing beats that feeling, I'm sure. Nothing beats that feeling for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There was so much going on, and he was able to go out there, and nobody expected the 49ers to win, including me. I did not think they were going to be able to pull it out, taking drafting position into consideration. I know you said leave it aside. They probably shouldn't have won, but they don't care. No player cares about where the team's drafting next year. I can guarantee you that. They're trying to put their best film on tape so they can maybe, if they don't stay with the 49ers, get a position elsewhere with another team. So they do not care about that. So kudos to them. And CJ had a respectable game. He didn't light it up by any means, but he still was able to come in, be a game manager, just like Anthony said, and he got the job done. I mean, 3 touchdown passes. I know they weren't, bombs into the end zone, but he made smart decisions. And, I said it in the post-game live stream, where CJ takes the sack, Nick Mullins throws the pick. So I would much rather take the sack, live to play another snap than throw it away, whether it be picked or a pick six. That's just completely ruining your team's chances. So there's that at least. CC 49ers, as bad as our season was, we have a shot to have a winning division record against our division foes. So yeah, if the 49ers win tomorrow against the Seahawks, they will be the only team with a winning record in the division. Is that correct?
Yeah. Hold on. I have my Twitter open right here. I want to pull something up that was tweeted that was really, this was like a really significant stat. Let me find it. Hold on. It was like, of course I can't find it now. It was like, other than the Niners, the Cardinals are the only other team to have a winning record in their division and lose the majority of the season. And that was from Josh Dubow. And he had tweeted also that no other team had done that, if I'm not mistaken. No other team had done that in NFL history, having winning record against their division, but have a losing record overall. That's crazy. That's
sad.
I think winning division games is cool personally. I mean, there's nothing more like you look at the Rams and it's like, damn, they lost to the 6-9 Niners twice, and then the Rams lose to the Jets and it's like, okay, well, that doesn't look as good then. I don't care, dude. It's like we beat Arizona, we beat the Rams twice, we have a chance to beat Seattle. There's nothing like making a statement, even in a losing season, than going out and winning these kind of games. That's huge.
Do you remember way longer than a few years back, when they went 2-14 and the only teams they beat was the Cardinals twice?
Yeah.
Like that cracked me up. To sweep the Cardinals and lose to every other team, that's just classic Niners. More comments. I'd love Justin Fields. I would be ecstatic if the 49ers were able to land him. Fields put on a show of broken ribs. That's a really good point. That targeting call, whether you agree with it or not, that really hurt him. You could tell he was in a lot of pain for the rest of that game. Yeah.
Was that the play that the dude got called targeting for? Was that
he got ejected, yeah.
I hate that rule.
Yeah.
That rule is so bad. Oh.
I mean, technically it fits the definition, but in that moment, it's so it really makes me think people that come up with these rules, if they've ever put on helmet and pads and played. Because in the split-second decision to think, should I move my neck, a degree left or right, my head, it's so hard to get it. But I get it. It's so hard, but it's a dumb rule. I don't want to say it's dumb. It's hard to enforce. It's hard to know whether or not the intention was there. And I know intention is not part of calling the penalty. But if it's just a mistake and to disqualify them for the rest of the game, it's tough, man. It really is. It's hard to have that level of body control when you're mid-air going full speed.
And I mean, it's like you're taking the game away from the kid to this, the athlete. It's like a college athlete, and you're taking away his game. Again, it's like I think I've seen targeting penalties called where you can tell it looked intentional, or you can tell like the player had a chance to let up and they didn't. But when that play is bang bang in the heat of the moment, I don't think you can penalize the player. Call targeting, sure, but don't eject him. Like I mean, especially in the championship game too. It's like I don't know if he's a senior or freshman or whatever his standing was with the team, but it's like if that's your last game in a bowl game, like I would hate to go out that way. And you just take away so much from these guys who just want to go out there and play.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'd be fine with it just being a 15-yard penalty or something like that, but that's the rule. Zach B, SMH, you would trade 3 first-round picks for a quarterback. Just look at Wilson. He was a third-round pick, and he's the best QB in the division. Look at what the Eagles gave up for Wentz, and look at the situation they are in now. I'll let you answer, but real quick, all I'm going to say is there's not 1,000 Russell Wilsons out there that you could find. If there was, I guarantee you they wouldn't all be going in the third round. Tom Brady went in whatever round he went in. Joe Montana went in whatever round they went in way later in the draft. The draft isn't a proven science. You're going to find fantastic players later on. Fred Warner, Drake Greenlaw, George Kittle, for Christ's sakes. So there are solid superstar players later on, but you don't know that when you're drafting. So you go for the most sure thing, and that's these guys at the top of the first round. So I'll let you address this, though, because he's addressing your point.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's right in a sense. You look at what the situation the Eagles are in now with Wentz, and it's like, okay, well, Wentz as a prospect is way better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but you can say Wentz is injury prone, right? You could say that, but when you saw Wentz play before the ACL and then the year after, even with that slight regression, Wentz was still a top 10 quarterback, I thought. Wentz is really good. He has the talent. It's just now you put him in the locker room with someone to try and move him or like get him to compete, and Wentz just didn't want to face the adversity. And now it's like you see Jalen Hurts. I'm dumb. Jalen Hurts playing. It's like this dude has the team rallied, and it's like Wentz wasn't doing that when he was playing. Hurts was. So that's a tough situation to be in. But you got to look at a lot of outliers and a lot of factors. And I mean, that situation is so unique. It's like the Niners. Odds are they're not going to draft Justin Fields for him to tear his ACL a few years down the road and then draft a quarterback in the second round just to try and motivate him and for it not to work out. It's like not everyone is like an Alex Smith, where Alex Smith took Kaepernick's, promotion with a lot of respect and dignity. And yeah, he understood it's a business. That's the thing. It's like Tom Brady, for example, probably was very aware that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be his replacement. And that didn't happen because of the trade, but it was inevitable, and stuff happens. But I don't want to use, the past against them because situations amongst every team is so different. I think that's something you consider. You definitely have to consider that. But again, Semper Fi said it here earlier. He said the draft is a crapshoot. It's like that's what happens. The draft is a crapshoot. But you said it. You're not going to run into a Kittle. You're not going to run into a Russell Wilson or a Fred Warner too. It's like, dude, like these guys are so 1 in a million. And I mean, Russell Wilson is likely going to be in the Hall of Fame. Steve Young was a 3rd-round pick, right? I think Young was a 3rd-round pick. Or no, Montana. I'm sorry, Montana was a 3rd-round pick. And there's only a couple others that were 3rd-round picks that made it in the Hall of Fame out of years and years and years of drafting. Those odds are so slim. And you look at first-round guys, is that most likely the ceilings as a player are a lot higher, which is why I think Justin Fields is going to be Steve Young. You know what I mean? It's like you see their ceilings and you see what they can be. You don't draft a 3rd-round quarterback with the thinking he's going to be Steve Young or he's going to be Montana or any of those top guys. You draft him thinking that maybe we can work him out into a backup, like a solid backup, or maybe a spot starter, if that at best. But it happens, you got to gamble. That's the thing, is that you can't be afraid to go after a guy. If Justin Fields brings us a Super Bowl and it costed us 3 first-round picks, I'm not complaining. I am not at all. I will gladly take a Super Bowl over some draft picks that are likely going to be unknown.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I do think that Zach B, he said here, that's my point. Just because you move up doesn't mean you'll hit on the QB. I think our point is that you have a much higher chance at hitting on a QB on these guys that are essentially more proven in the sense that they've been vetted a lot more than these guys like Russell Wilson was when he came out. These guys that aren't really as known, there's a lot more tape. These guys come out and some of them do stick and some of them do turn into superstars. However, I think it's a lot less likely that happens just at this position, because these guys have been elite their entire lives. High school, maybe even Pop Warner, going into college. There's something there that you can't coach and necessarily you can't just find in somebody else. So that I think that's my point, and we can leave it at that. Some other comments here. Semper Fi, hey guys, got to say I'm not confident for us to win this game again. All the additional injuries, and Seattle is coming in with a real something to lose like last year when they beat us at home.
Oh, yeah, that's the Seattle game. I read the Seattle preview. He's right. It's like Seattle has so much to play for. And a lot of people have the Packers favored to beat the Bears. And it's like, no NFC team is good this year, in my opinion. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers lose to the Bears. I think they're in Soldier Field. So if they lose, Seattle wins. I believe Seattle gets that 1 seed. And there's a lot to play for. They have so much to play for. Can the Niners play spoiler again? I think so. Yeah, sure, definitely. I mean, do we want them to win? Yeah, But these guys care about winning, so it's like if they can go out and beat Seattle, I have no problems with that, man. Again, I don't think draft position matters in terms of a quarterback because it's going to cost a lot no matter what, right? And it's like and speaking on the quarterbacks, it's like if you need to go and trade up to get your guy, go get him. And the cost won't matter at that point, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Nobody's thinking, a few years down the line, man, we gave up one extra third round or, one extra fifth round pick.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the Chiefs aren't thinking that with Mahomes right now. So do it.
Yeah. And that's what I said too. It's like, once the situation sucks, Goff's situation sucks, but he brought them to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And it's like, if your quarterback with his problems, like Garoppolo, brings you to the Super Bowl, then it worked out for some reason. But now you see what's going on, including Garoppolo is in this conversation also, where it's like, okay, where can they upgrade? The Eagles and the Rams are stuck. They are stuck because of those contracts. And they can't necessarily upgrade, even though the Eagles have Jalen Hurts. The Niners can upgrade. They can upgrade, they can save money, and they can go get a top-flight quarterback with a crazy ceiling. Why pass up on that opportunity, And it's like, if Garoppolo plays next season and he is healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if the team is a playoff team. But again, when are the Niners going to be picking around this high? Or when are they going to be in a position to trade up for a solid quarterback class this year? Who knows? As far as we know, the quarterback class next year is weak. It's just Sam Howell and everyone else. So it's like, if they want to make the move, do it now. Do it now. Go get your guy. Solidify your future for 10 to 15 years and bring us to Super Bowl. I will take that.
Yeah, I mean, great point. And to be fair, we did say this a couple of years ago when we got Nick Bosa. When will we be drafting this high again? Likely not in at least 5 years, but things happen, injuries happened, and here we are. So I think they really do need to take advantage of this because if they hit this correctly, they won't be drafting this at this high in a long time. So some more comments. Semper Fi, the NFL rule is way more ridiculous. I think if you hit the QB between his chest and thighs, you're good as long as you don't lead in the helmet. Just my 2 cents. They are doing everything they can to protect the quarterback. Some of it is a bit outrageous, not going to lie.
Dude, Kentucky Street's hit on Drew Brees was clean. He just got penalized because Brees broke 11 ribs.
Because he's 110 years old.
It's a fossil.
Yeah. That was crazy, dude. It was such a normal hit.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't even know we had 11 ribs.
That was crazy. I did not think that's how hurt he got. I'm like, oh, he just got the wind knocked out of him. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like, oh, he's got 11 broken ribs, a punctured lung. I'm like, Jesus, that's ridiculous.
Say, eat your Wheaties, Breeze.
Drink your milk, man. Fields might be the outlier. The kid can ball. I agree. I think Zach B earlier was saying there hasn't been too many quarterbacks from Ohio State that transferred. To be fair, I don't think they've had one like Justin Fields maybe ever, and certainly a long time. The comparison to the kid that just got released from Washington, Haskins. is there's no comparison there. Justin Fields is night and day compared to Haskins. So Fields is a baller. So I agree with David Yang here. Jose, this game would be just as we all think, lots of injured players and on the COVID list, so not much to expect. Unfortunately, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But to be fair, we said the same thing last week. I think we do have a lot more players out this week. So I think we're all just ready for the season to be over.
Yeah, we're definitely ready for the season to be over, man. I mean, I'm just so tired of the injuries. I'm so tired of the injuries. And I mean, I can't relate to these guys whatsoever. I can't. But when we talked about it earlier, where you get kicked down to Santa Clara or kicked out, now you're in Arizona living there. You can't even see your families at all. It's like, it's just so hard. It's like these guys are stuck. They are stuck playing a game that they love at the cost of really not being able to see their families, or let alone even getting the chance to be home. That's terrible. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine that. And I'm sure as much as they want to win or lose, I don't know, they just want to go home. I was listening to a podcast where Matt Mayoka was talking to Raheem Mostert, and Raheem Mostert was just ecstatic that he finally will get the chance to go home and see his family and see his kids. And it's like, God, I mean, I can only feel for the guys that are in the playoffs, and I'm sure that's exciting for them, but it's like they're going to be even further away from their families and apart even longer. And man, it's tough, very tough, but it'll be over for these guys soon enough. They'll be happy, and we can finally get the offseason kicked under, man. There's a lot of stuff to do.
That's right. And you guys can find it all here. We'll cover it all here on 49ers Hive, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, 49ershive.com. Anthony's been putting out some great articles, and he's going to continue. We're going to have a nice off-season schedule of mock drafts, player personnel profiles. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't. If you guys missed earlier, once we get to 2,000, we'll be giving away our 7th 49ers jersey. That would be in 8 months. So make sure you guys subscribe. It could be you that's getting a new jersey. We just gave away one for Christmas. Ty Anderson was the winner for that one. So shout out to Ty, one of our way original followers when this was just a Twitter account and nothing else. So shout out to him. This comment's funny though. The SF high ankle sprains. I don't remember any other team that has as many high ankle sprains as the 49ers. Yeah. It's atrocious.
Oh, really bad.
Yeah. Semper Fi, Zach and Anthony, how many sacks do you guys think Adams is going to have? Yeeks.
Oh, Jamal Adams. I'm thinking, what defensive – Spice Adams? I'm like, what defensive end's name Adams? Man, if the running backs that we start or play can pick up a corner blitz or a safety blitz, which will be from Jamal Adams – I don't know. I'm trying to be hopeful, man. Adams might have a field day. I think he will. If he's on Williams' side of the field, though, I think he'll get called out. And Williams is really good at diagnosing his side. Same with Lakin, too. So who's ever on that side, he'll pick it up most likely. Mike McGlinchey's side and who's ever going to be the right guard, if McKivitz is back or if Brunskill's playing there, whatever it may be. Entirely different story, But shoot. Beathard under center, maybe Rosen, who hasn't played all season. I would have to go out and give Adams 2 sacks, and that's a lot for a DB. But man, it's just, yeah, I don't even want to just get the game over with, man. Get the game over with.
Oh yeah, that's right. Coach said.
Right. Oh, who's gonna be at tackle? Did they?
I'm not sure. Actually, that's a good question.
School might play tackle.
I think I saw that Tom Compton was up too. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Trent Williams is playing. Compton will play inside then if he plays. So School on the left side or Brunskill? Yikes. Yeah, I mean, they might have to just play one half of football and call it a day.
Yeah, there's no hiding there for Beathard or Rosen if he happens to. Yeah, he's at School. Compton will be playing right guard.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Adams 2.5 to 3 sacks. I think that they're going to use him effectively in a way that, he's used best. He's a great pass rushing DB. And I think we'll see that tomorrow, unfortunately. Whoever's under center, whether it's Beathard, I don't think we're going to see Rosen. We might. Who knows? Kyle might say, hey, the hell with it. It's the last game of the year. There's nothing left to play for. Let's see what you got. We signed you for a reason. Let's see what you got. Maybe. I wouldn't expect it, though.
I want Rosen to play. I think we both want Rosen to play, man.
That'd so cool. I really do.
See what he's got. Just show me what the kid's got, And it's like, if he plays and impresses you enough, whether the game is lost or not, I think he's under contract technically through next year based on the contract they signed him to. So he'll be there for training camp and OTAs and all that. So it's like, this is his tryout. I think it is. And if they can bring him on and he can be a backup or shooting for the moon, somehow be a starter, whoa.
Yeah, I think that's a win for them.
Yeah.
Going into some of these previous comments we missed, Dan Marino was arguably the greatest quarterback to play the position, but he couldn't win championships because he didn't have a supporting cast. I think that's the issue with guys like Wentz and Jim Kelly. That's a good point. Yeah, it really does matter who you surround these guys with. And Dan Marino doesn't even get mentioned, unfortunately, when you talk about the Tom Brady's or the Joe Montanas. He is mentioned, but it's almost like with an asterisk. It's almost like, well, Dan Marino, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, with the only Super Bowl he played in, they lost to the Niners, right? If my history is not mistaken. Yeah, the Niners were good though, so it's, that's one of the things too, where it's like you can be such a good quarterback, but I don't want to question Semper Fi or Dan Marino because I do think Dan Marino is one of the best. But man, even if his supporting cast was bad, if he himself wasn't necessarily good enough to bring those guys up, that tells you the importance of having a quarterback who can really elevate everything. You know what I mean? It's like, and I know Dan Marino couldn't win the big game, but he did so much. He did absolutely so much with so little. And it's like, you put a Fields in our situation, or you put a Wilson in our situation, or even a Lance, and it's like, the sky is the limit for this team entirely.
Yeah. If we don't fix our quarterback issues, which really start with the offensive line, to be frank, we'll be picking high for a while, unfortunately. That's a good point.
That's another good point, too. Yeah, I think he's right. It's like, the offensive line pass protecting last season wasn't even that good. They weren't a top 10 unit. I think they were 10 to 15, which is respectable. But a lot of the pressure of having a run game makes pass protecting a lot easier, and you can keep a lot of defenses honest, and that's what set up Garoppolo's success also. But when you have guys stacking the box all the time and they know Wilson or Mostert or, God forbid, Tevin Coleman are going to run the ball, you're going to play press man, or you're going to play tighter techniques against our wide receivers where you're going to have to dare Mullins or Beathard or even Garoppolo to throw. And it's like, we know they're not good on contested throws, or we know they're not good with tight window throws to begin with. And it's like that's what happened with Garoppolo in the second half of the Super Bowl last year, is the Chiefs started to play more physical, more aggressive on their wide receivers, and Garoppolo can hit tight throws. And that was the result, which is why you got to get like a Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, someone who can move the pocket and really just kind of move the entire field so you can kind of create and make something happen. Yep. That's the thing, is that your quarterback, outside of being the main point of the offense, he's got to be able to make things easier for the rest of the guys as well. And it's like, if you have a guy that can move and open things up for Ayuk, for Debo, or for any other playmaker, it will take the offense to a whole new level entirely. And I mean, I'm not even talking about a guy who can move like Fields, Zach. I'm talking about a guy like, even like Mac Jones, or Desmond Ridder, someone who can just move a little more than what Garoppolo and the others have to offer. And if they can bring that, dude, I'm not saying get Mac Jones or Desmond Ridder. I'm just saying if you get one guy who can move a little more, it's oof. We haven't had that since Kaepernick, Kaepernick and pre-ACL Jimmy Garoppolo, honestly. That's how bad it's been. And Blaine Gabbert could move. He just wasn't good.
I think, I'm not saying, Semper Fi or people in the comments, but I do think some people don't realize how much a quarterback's pocket presence helps a bad offensive line, or even an average offensive line. Just the fact that you're able to have that feel, that sixth sense, essentially, be able to move around in the pocket, escape pressure, that helps so much. And, I forget somebody tweeted out a video of Tony Romo praising his pocket presence when he was still playing with the Cowboys. It was amazing. He had fantastic pocket presence, and it made the Cowboys offensive line look that much better than it actually was. So you get a quarterback who's even the slightest bit mobile in the pocket, and it really does open things up. It helps your team a lot because it's not a statue standing back there who's, 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds. You got to get that ball out, or else you're sacked. You're lunch meat. So that helps a lot too. So
Right. Exactly.
Call Young, if we mortgage our draft picks to grab a top quarterback prospect, how do we address a mess at CB? Do you remember our entire secondary are free agents with the exception of Ward?
I think so. Okay, right now, Spoon, I think they would bring back Spoon because you bring him back on a 1 or 2 year, see what he offers with a good pass rush. Spoon, Mosley can come back. Marcel Harris, Tarvarius Moore can come back. I don't think Tart will be back just because of the injury history and he's a little too expensive. And then you get Jason Verrett back, and Verrett will be the most expensive, but you need a veteran presence on the corner. We're talking 2 safeties and likely 3 cornerbacks, maybe 4 if K'Wan Williams comes back too, but it depends on Robert Saleh and what guys he takes with him. I think the thing about this is that you mortgage the future for a quarterback. That's okay because a quarterback fixes a lot of those problems that you may not recognize, even on the defensive side of the ball, where it's like if you have a quarterback who can make up for the defense, and it's not like our defense next season will give up 40 points a game or 30 points a game. Maybe it'll be a little weaker, but it won't be as bad. But you have a quarterback who can fix that issue, then everything is fine. And then you look at the entire NFL, Zach, it's like 30% of the entire league is filled with UDFAs. 30% of the entire league. This Niners team alone has made money off of undrafted free agents, not just running backs also, but we're talking about cornerbacks, we're talking about linebackers, we're talking about defensive linemen. A lot of positions have been filled at UDFA. And you look at that and it's like, well, that alone makes a team very affordable. And plus two, it's not something you can bank on per se, but you look at the team's success with drafting guys in the mid to late rounds. I mean, Trent Taylor looked like he was on the rise until all the injuries happened, so I'll kind of make him an exception. But Fred Warner is a good third-round pick. Tarvarius Moore is inconsistent, but I would say he's not bad for a third-round pick. George Kittle, obviously. Colton McKivitz, too. The Arizona game, I think he played in the Arizona game or the game before, Washington. McKivitz had a really good game. McKivitz had a very solid game, and he was a 6th-round pick. And that was his first good game of the entire season. And you see that, and it's like, okay, well, they're clearly drafting late guys with a lot of upside. Marcel Harris himself was a 6th-round pick. I think he has a lot of upside also. It's like you can bring back a lot of these guys for the cheap. I don't think they will get bigger contracts anywhere else unless teams will fork out money for them for no reason. And you cut Garoppolo, man, you're talking about $25 to $26 million. That's a lot of cap space. You re-sign Trent Williams, you extend Fred Warner. You're still talking about roughly 25 to 30 million cap left to begin with. And that's not even including letting D Ford retire and letting Western Vickberg go. So the Niners have a lot of options to save money to begin with. And if you can do that, you can bring back key free agents. And from there, as long as you have good starters at one position or 2 positions, like if you have a Jason Verrett, then having an Ahkello Witherspoon or Emmanuel Mosley is okay. You don't need them to play like number 1 corners. You need them to play good against number 2 and number 3 wide receivers. And if that's the case, those guys are going to be affordable. I know I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry, but it's like team building is a lot of fun, man. Before I deleted it, I had a lot of fun playing Madden. So it's like I love building those teams up on Madden, man. I make all the money moves. Makes me one of the best Twitter GMs out there. But, it's a lot. It's absolutely a lot. But having a good quarterback, just to answer the whole thing, man, it fixes a lot. Having a good quarterback fixes a lot more than people think.
Yeah, I think that they end up bringing a good amount of these guys back. I think K1 is kind of the key to everything. I think as long as they bring him back, some of the other positions aren't as vital, but he's the best out of all of them. Maybe you can make the argument for Verrett, but K1's been consistent for so long and been playing at a high level for so long. Verrett's done it for 1 year. The Niners need to make the decision if they're willing to bet on that 1 year and gamble and make sure that they are, I would say, and bet on the fact that he can do it again because he hasn't really been able to in his career since he got hurt back with the Chargers. So if they feel that this is something that's sustainable, then by all means, sure, I'm comfortable with them making the decision to pay him. However, if it's something ridiculous that they obviously can't afford, he's going to walk. He's going to play elsewhere. He balled out. Thank you for your year. It was great. Congratulations on your rehab. And they'll go their separate ways. Would I like to see him back? Sure. But on a reasonable contract. Like I said, I think K1 and Mosley probably are the 2 that are the most likely to be brought back. K1 is the most important one to bring back. So I do think that secondary needs to shape out before anything happens. But I still think they draft a corner. And that's still possible even with moving up. They have 10 draft picks, and If Saleh moves, they're going to get another 1 or 2. I forget how it works.
Yeah,
One this
third next year.
Yeah,
they get money. And they're getting obviously the pick from Emmanuel Sanders, the pick from Quan Alexander. The capital is there, and it's like if you don't want your fifth, you don't draft a 5th round pick with the expectation of him being a superstar, but if you can get him to be a solid rotational guy in the 5th round, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. And that's why I say it's okay to trade premium draft capital for a quarterback, because the quarterback is the most important position arguably in any sport. Absolutely any sport, man. But to your point, bring back K1. I love that dude. I know he hasn't been on the field all the time, but I think he's one of the most underrated pieces of the defense. That's how good K1 is. I think he's still the best slot corner in the league. He's barring the injuries, man, he's still really, really good.
Yep. Melissa Rebelle, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. If Ford and Thomas are off the D-line, would you keep Givens, Hyder, and get another edge and draft a free agency? Yes. Free agents, I think there's the 49ers defensive line can do with just basically average bodies. I think they're good enough. The coaching's good enough. They have a superstar coming back in Nick Bosa. Kerry Hyder proved this year he can ball out on his own. Pair him with Nick Bosa as your bookend pass rushers. You put Armstead back to his original position, and you get some bodies, basically some filler guys. Kevin Givens. I think that's a solid defensive line right there. Is it 2019 defensive line? No, but we all know that wasn't sustainable. We all know that was basically this is it for this year, and then after we're going to have to kind of deal with what we can, keep who we can.
Yeah, it's like you bring back Kerry Hyder, and then you're talking about your base defense is probably Bosa. No, I don't know Bosa. I don't know what they'll do with Bosa based off of the ACL. They might take it easy with him to begin with. But you're still talking about Kerry Hyder, Armstead on the inside, Javon Kinlaw, or Kevin Givens on the inside also, because Givens is really good against the run. And possibly Hyder, possibly Deion Jordan, someone bring back. Dude, Kinlaw, Bosa, Armstead on the inside, and Hyder, or like a mid-round draft pick, whoever it may be. Shoo. I might not be 2019 defensive line status, man, but Hyder's been really good. I don't know if Ford or Hyder can replicate Ford as a player and what he offers, but you see Hyder's success now, and it's like, man, oh man, if you can get this Hyder next year with Bosa, with Armstead and Kinlaw on the inside on third down, oof. I think their ceiling could be very similar to last year's. And that's or the year before. That's a lot. That's saying a lot too.
Yep, that's a good point. So she's saying rebel with an E. Rebel E.
It's a rebel EL.
Rebel EL, yeah, according to Coach. Rebel with a yell. You guys are gonna gas us up for this. I already know. I think that kid Willis is better than Jordan had been for us in only a few games. He got pressures a lot.
Yeah, Jordan Willis.
Jordan Willis and Deion Jordan, I think, is what they're referencing.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hyder priced himself out. He might have.
I don't know. I think that if they sign him, I think it'll be a very incentive-heavy contract. And I said that last week too. It's like you can give him say, I don't know, because he's 29, probably going on 30. You can give him like a 2 or 3 year contract for say like 20 to 25 million on 3 years, which sounds like a lot. But you're talking about a rotational defensive lineman who will get you sacks. Now you give him a low contract like that, but you give him boosters that can elevate it to like 30 to 35 million. Now that's pushing. That's an extra 10 million we're talking about. But you look at Richard Sherman's contract. Sherman's contract had a lot of boosters also. And it's like Parag Marate is no stranger to doing this with any contract. He's done it with Kittles. You can look at the numbers. He did it with Kittle. He did it with Garoppolo. And he will most likely do it with Verrett or K1 or Hyder, whoever he brings back, even Trent Williams. It's like it's on the table, man. It's absolutely on the table to bring him back for an incentive-based contract. And I don't know if Hyder will bank on taking that money with another team. I mean, maybe they will give him a good amount of change, but I think he also could have a winning shot too, depending on what this team does. It's a lot. It's a lot, dude. It's such a busy offseason though, man. So much fun. So much fun to talk about. So much content.
It really is, yeah. We're going to have a lot. We're going to have a lot coming at you guys, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't. We're going to be wrapping things up here shortly, so If you have any questions, send them our way. We'd love to answer them, whether it's for the game, looking forward, the draft, free agency, whatever it is. Send them our way. We'd love to answer them. Last couple comments here. Looks like we're getting laughed at for our pronunciations. Does DJ Jones go with Saleh and Blair? I think a good amount of these guys do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Including the coaching staff. I think he poaches a lot of these guys, but what can you do? It's just the nature of the business. Kerry Hyder is amazing. Hyder, Greenlaw, Nick Bosa would be scary. That's a good trio. Yeah, Nick Bosa is very much missed this year.
Yeah, Greenlaw on the defensive line, man. Oof. Hyder, Greenlaw, Bosa on the inside. Jeez Louise.
Yep.
Oh, Greenlaw's a linebacker. You silly goose. I think Greenlaw will take another big step up next year, though, alongside him and Warner. Oof, man. I think even if Saleh leaves, defense is still in good hands. They just got to stay healthy. Stay healthy.
Yep.
Hope that D'Amico Ryans or whoever steps up fills in very well. And if that's the case, they're getting handed the keys to a Ferrari that has had some car problems, but is easy to fix. And that just means healthy.
That's a great comparison. What would you like to see Fred Warner and Kerry Hyder do versus the Hawks offense? I want to see Fred have a pick six.
Yeah.
It reminds me of one of those first Seattle 49ers games with Patrick Willis, when Patrick Willis had that pick six when he was running and almost getting tackled and barely makes it into the end zone. Patrick Willis ran like no other, man. And I would love to see Fred Warner take one back to the house. Wait, Fred Warner's playing, right? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got some thought in my head that he was out. Yeah. I want to see Fred Warner get a pick six. Kerry Hyder, I'd love to see him just sack Russell Wilson because that's in itself is hard to do.
Yeah. This game feels weirdly winnable, you know? It's one of those things like it's I know Seattle's been locking it up on defense recently, and I know we're on our backup quarterback. But division games are weird, you know? We just beat Arizona, and Arizona had a lot to play for. Seattle's in the playoffs, but they still have a lot to play for. And you never know. You never know, you know?
Yep. It's true. Let's see. I'd love to see Warner bottle up Wilson, and he and Hyder combined for 6 sacks against him. A lot of pressures.
Oh my God, 6? We gotta get one first, Semper. We gotta get 1 sack first. Jesus.
How many broken ribs comes from 6 sacks?
It depends on if Contavious Street's tackling them.
If Debo and Ayuk are both out, who plays with River and KB, Richie, anybody else? That's a good question.
Jordan Matthews? Did Matthews get the call up?
Trent Taylor?
No, TT. No. Oh no, I don't even want to.
It's going to be ugly. It's nothing pretty.
It makes me wonder how much you're going to play this guy. You know, I don't know how much he's going to play.
Hopefully not much, man.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. There's nothing here to gain other than, you know, obviously you're playing for your own ego and your own sense of confidence. But realistically, you're not going to get anything out of this game. I'm not saying don't go and give it all. Don't get me wrong, but I would just hate to see anybody get injured over a player that.
No, yeah. Semper said it way earlier. He's like adult softball, where it's like run the score up to 10 and call it.
Pretty much, man.
I will take that.
Apparently, Trent Taylor's on the COVID list. That's how little he matters. I didn't even notice.
Jordan Reed and George Kittle.
I thought Trent Taylor was going to have a nice year, dude. I really did. There was that hype. That every year, Trent Taylor's balling out in camp. Trent Taylor understands everything. Trent Taylor's the best connection with the quarterback. And then come September, it's like 1 catch, 3 yards.
Yeah, right.
What happened?
Isn't it even weirder that Pettis was on the team this season too? It feels like he's been gone.
He's a blur, dude.
Yeah, he's been gone for so long. Oh my God. Quan was on the team. Man, the turnover is so different from last year.
Yeah, and it's going to be worse. It's going to be worse come next year, dude. That Super Bowl team is going to be unrecognizable to a lot of people.
I know. 40 free agents? Oh my God.
They went all in, dude. They really did. They went all in. They were hoping to get his championship by now. It didn't work out. So
now
it's time to, I wouldn't say rebuild, but definitely reload.
Yeah, definitely reload.
Jordan Matthews was activated. Yeah, he's probably playing time.
That's the boy.
This is a good question. Who had the better year for you guys, Jay Reed or Jarek?
Reed, man.
Yeah.
You know what's weird, though, is that Jarek started the season so hot. Jarek was getting touchdowns in the red zone left and right, and he looked like even cargo plane jet, as Matt would call it, as we could agree on. Jarek had a really good start where he had 4 touchdowns in 3 games or something. He had the big Arizona game. I think he had a couple TDs against the Jets also, and it's man, Jarek looks really good. And then offensive line injuries happened, all the injuries happened, and Jarek just really started to get, too many touches, I thought. And on top of the injuries stacking up for his previous, his past injuries, they really just hurt him and just slowed him down, and then just couldn't survive the whole season, man. None of these guys have survived the whole season. One more game, and that's over.
I think the fact that Jordan Reed played this year is amazing in itself. I mean, how many he had 8 concussions or some ridiculous amount with Washington. The fact that he came back and played and stayed relatively healthy, at least no head injuries, that's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. So kudos to Jordan Reed for being willing to come back and still sticking with it, even though I have a feeling a lot of these players knew this season wasn't going anywhere. So kudos to him, because that's something to, that's respectable for sure. If you had to bite the bullet and keep either CJ or Nick, who would it be? Are we talking backups? Starting?
Oh, no.
Big difference. Let's say backups. Go ahead, Anthony.
CJ, just because of the Mullins injury, man. I mean, I don't know if they've officially diagnosed it yet, but it's if that's Tommy John surgery where it's a UCL tear in his throwing arm, I mean, this is the same thing Big Ben went through, and Ben's arm is clearly not where it used to be, and he's old. But Mullins isn't old, but Mullins has the same arm strength as Ben, so it's shoot. I have so much respect for Nick Mullins, but you just got to roll with CJ, man.
Yeah, no, same here. We're going to be wrapping things up. We'll take last question. Do we replace Tevin with someone young or old to even out Raheem and Jeff?
I think Jarek leaves, Tevin Coleman leaves, and I think they try to use JaMychal Hasty like how Jarek is in right now. I know JaMychal Hasty could be the pass blocker that Jarek is, but he'll only be a second-year player, and that's coachable. That's definitely teachable. JaMychal Hasty, I think Hasty can wind up being what Jerick McKinnon was supposed to be. And I think that's a lot of reason why he's on the roster too. So bring back Hasty, maybe bring in another UDFA just for competition. But they better re-sign Jeff Wilson though. They better re-sign Jeff Wilson. Or I know he's an RFA. Put a first round tender on him, man. I don't care. He can't take that chance. He cannot go.
Yeah, no, seriously. I think he's too valuable. I think he's proved himself to be worthy of being on this team. So it's going to be interesting, but I do think that they replace someone. Tevin Coleman just doesn't have it outside of that Carolina game last year. He's been really below average, unfortunately. So that loyalty to Kyle Shanahan, to him and his players, I think that's the only reason why he's still here. But I don't think it lasts past the season. So with that, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. We had a blast. If you guys haven't subscribed already, do us a solid. Subscribe to our channel. Once we reach 2,000 subscribers, somebody is getting a 49ers jersey. So it could be you. It could be your friend. It could be anybody. Subscribe. Do us a solid. We really do appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. We go live Saturdays and Sundays. Our schedule is going to change a little bit now that the season is ending. We don't have any games to preview, but we're still going to try to go live at least once a week. So do us a solid and keep tuning in. Set your alerts on if you don't have them, your notifications, so you do know when we go live. And within the next week or so, we'll be announcing our new schedule. We'll still be putting out Niners news throughout the week. So just make sure you guys tune in. And I really do appreciate you guys tuning in, though. Thank you, guys. And we'll be live tomorrow to recap the game and the year. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, guys. It's been one hell of a ride, one hell of a season. I know it's been lost, but I've had so much fun. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of work to do this offseason. Semper Fi, how does he get a jersey? Semper Fi doesn't get one.
Yeah, once we get to 2K, man, it could be you. It really could be. So
like and subscribe, comment, follow Semper Fi, do everything you normally would on social media, enter yourself in the contest, which that includes, and you're all set from there, my guy.
Yep. And when we pick these guys, it's random. It's, we put the names into a generator, press randomize, and then it picks somebody. So it's completely random. We like to keep things fair and honest here. So appreciate you all for tuning in. Like I said, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm wishing you all a blessed New Year full of love, prosperity, wealth, health. You know it all. I can't take credit for that. A nice lady told me that today, a nice clerk. So Happy New Year, everybody. And thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Go Niners.